What is the worst drug you ever did? How was your experience? LSA or morning glory seeds. I overdosed. Sister's BF gave me this nasty, chunky drink of crushed up seeds, so I stupidly drank it without asking questions. That night, I started to burn up. I was restless, went to the living room to lay down, but I was dehydrating like crazy. I remember going through a whole case of water bottles like it was nothing, and my mouth still felt like the desert. Then suddenly I started to feel this terrible pain in my head. Felt like battery acid slowly being dripped on top of my brain. That's the best way to describe it. I was in agony and my sister was panicking, so she called 911. When they got there, I could barely speak. My vision was blurred, but they took my vitals and just laughed and said, "Everything looks fine, just don't take drinks, you don't know what's in them," and they left. Was a regular edible use and smoker at the time, and someone offered me to take some hits from a pen. Felt nothing the first 2 hits. This guy at the house part warned me it hits hard, but I didn't listen. The 3rd hit went a little too deep in, and instantly I felt super high with burning lungs. For the first 10 minutes, I ran around spouting, "I'm so high right now! You gotta try this man's pen." But 30 minutes later, I experienced horrible fever-like chills. A campfire, heavy jacket, and jumping jacks only made the cold slightly bearable. An hour later, my best friend, different person, and I went out to the bars that night. Bad idea. He bought me a drink, and at first, he thought I was just a little too high. It happens, you know? But when he handed me the drink and made eye contact, he goes, "Dude, your eyes are more dilated than when you were on shrooms." At that moment, all the teasing stopped when he realized the words, "I'm so high right now," coming from my mouth, was less of a funny high person quote and more of a plea for help. I could not say anything else. He downed the drinks and took me out of the bar. In the bar, the sounds became distant, like I was in a tunnel and cartoony, maybe like fake sounding. While outside, the cold air convinced me to light a cigarette to get warm. The buzz and nicotine, the nighttime, the people downtown, and the THCO caused my brain to go more paranoid. I grabbed onto my best friend, 6-foot big guy, and he instantly turned around due to how much I was shaking. All I could say was, "I'm so high right now, and the shadow people." That's right. I got so high I started to hallucinate from the corner of my eyes shadow people mixed in with the normal people downtown. So I grab his shoulders like we're in a conga line and focus on the back of his neck to not look at the shadow people, of course. Luckily, he's able to walk back to my place with essentially a walking backpack at this point and grabs me water, tucks me in, tells me to get some rest, and checked in on me in the afternoon. To this day, this whole event has become an inside joke, and whenever one of our friends gets high or mentions any THC strain, he'll look and me and go, "Yo, don't be seeing shadow people with this one now." Or chant "nightmare, nightmare, nightmare" from that one Eric Andre episode. Alcohol. Countless hangovers, bad impulsive decisions made, unknown amount of damage to my brain, damage to my relationships, severely negative impact on my pursuit of education, severe impacts on my mental and physical health, and many more inconspicuous effects that I hadn't noticed before or won't notice until later in life. I often dread about all of the unknown missed opportunities I could have encountered when I was deep in the middle of my alcohol dependency. It's something I suffer with daily. I'm about 6 months sober, and I think this time it's going to stick. If you're even vaguely concerned about your relationship with alcohol, or someone in your life has voiced concern, take action sooner rather than later. It can get bad fast and hang around far too long before it becomes blatantly problematic for you. Of course, I don't judge anyone who does drink and is able to have a healthy relationship with it, but it's usually pretty obvious to yourself if you're participating in an unhealthy relationship with the drink. Got hooked on pain meds when I was in my 20s. I was a pro rugby player, so it came with the territory. After breaking a rib, my team doctor gave me codeine, tramadol, diazepam, and Zopiclone. Got hooked on it all. Fast forward 2 years, and I was buying diazepams and Zopiclone online from dodgy websites after telling the doc I was addicted to the pills he gave me, so he stopped giving them to me. After a night of heavy drinking, too many concussions, and severe mental health issues I was ignoring, I took a sleeve of the online diazepams and Zopiclones washed down with a bottle of whiskey. Don't remember what happened, but I woke up a few days later with a broken face. Life changed for me after that. Went to the depths of hell. Came out the other side I'm grateful for it all. Lots of lessons. Haven't touched a pharmaceutical in 8 years. Salvia is by far the most intense hallucination experience I've ever had. My uncle and I tried it together and we used a bong. After a few hits, it finally took me. I felt time crystallize and lock me completely in place while reality fell away and was replaced by something different. We were both completely locked to the couch while all kinds of crazy shit was going on around us. We had Family Guy on the TV and suddenly Peter Griffin was like, "Hey, you guys smoking salvia? You know that shit can unlock time and make you move dimensions. Are you sure you want to be doing this?" Then he explained some things about space and time that actually made a lot of sense. Then we snapped out of it and we were both laughing like maniacs. I asked my uncle, "Was Peter talking to us? Like, was that what just happened? Did you have the same experience?" He confirmed and repeated the same things I heard. We had a complete shared hallucination. I have no idea what to make of that. But it scared me and also excited me, and I think about it a lot. I'm still trying to make sense of some of the things I learned during that experience. Ketamine. I had back problems and one day woke up in such extreme pain I couldn't move and had to be transported to the ER by ambulance. I ended up needing back surgery to prevent being paralyzed. The EMTs had to dose me with ketamine just to get me on a backboard, and when they did, it didn't take long for the entire world to start disappearing. Everything became cubes, then squares of black, white, and red, then just black and white, then black. It felt like I was transitioning to another dimension and dying. According to my daughter, I was screaming, "Just let me die," all the way out of the house to the ambulance. It was probably the worst experience of my life, and I'm so glad I never tried drugs when I was younger.
Contaminated, fake MDMA. Whatever it was gave me a blinding headache so bad I thought I was going to die. I couldn't talk or stop puking, and I immediately rethought my entire life when I came out of it. Circa 2002, so not fent.
At a festival on a coast Croatia a few years ago, on the walks between the stages, there were just people laying on the ground puking and barely able to talk or move. Dealers had come in via boat and were selling what they told people was MDMA or cocaine. What they were actually selling was incredibly strong ketamine. My mates and I dragged a few people to the medical tents, but it was a mess. The festival had quite a young, annoying crowd of people who it was their first time away somewhere without their parents. And two, hey, obviously went crazy. When I was 16, I did acid. For an hour or so, I was convinced I got ripped off and that nothing was happening. Then, I started kind of sensing the ripples of space around me to the beat of the music at the party I was at. Hard to explain. Just imagine feeling the music more and with more sense than just hearing. "This music is really loud," I yelled to a friend. What? What are you talking about? It's the same as it was before. Why are you yelling?" He was lying, obviously. But why? They were all lying. What did they not want me to know? Etc. Paranoia set in, and the knowledge that this is probably just the acid fought with my confidence that the acid wasn't working because I'd gotten ripped off, and for some reason, all my friends hated me and were lying to me. For a few hours, I went into a deep paranoid panic. I legitimately thought I was going to die. Then a very kind girl with red hair who was at the party sat down next to me and said, "Can you hold my hand?" And I stared at her and said, And she grabbed my hand gently and squeezed it and said, "Just think about my hand. Just think about that and nothing else." And I didn't really want to touch anybody or be touched, but I fought through it and thought about her little hand in my big hand. And I thought about getting ripped off for acid, and she sat with me until I worked through my panic attack or whatever it was and talked me down. Got me some ice cold water that was incredible. The coolest, freshest water I'd ever had in my life. Then when it was time for her to leave, she gave me a kiss on the forehead, popped up, and left with the guy she'd come with. Still not 100%. I decided to lay down on the couch, and I woke up there the next day. I don't know who the little redhead was, but I thank her still, 30 years later, for helping me through a bad trip of some type. To this day, I don't know if I just had a bad reaction to acid, or if it wasn't acid, or if it was just not the right environment. But it was so far from a good time that I've never done it since. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, give a like, and don't forget to watch other videos.